Okay, Soni, welcome to BGS.
Thank you.
Spanish Cindy on the
I
platform.
know.
I'm so excited because we were just talking earlier about how it's just such a unique niche experience growing up in Spain, being Indian, specifically Sindhi, being from a tight-knit community. And then even within that, there's like nuances depending on what city and what island you're from. So, yeah.
I hadn't realized the kind of nuance between the Canaries and mainland for the longest time until I met people from the mainland. And I was like, wow, okay, yes, it is different. Where like Gran Canaria are just, I guess the beach, the sun, just makes you a little bit more chill.
Yeah.
Nothing's too quick in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy the differences, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. How do you feel when you go back home now?
It's very different now that I've moved to the other side of the world. And I said this to a few friends not that long ago. When I used to live here in London, kind of going back felt like a little bit of an escape. And I was escaping my life in London and just going back home, going back to somewhere where I felt kind of emotional fulfillment, where I knew everyone, it was comfortable, it was relaxing, it was great. But now that I've kind of moved to the other side of the world, it's very different. It's like I'm going back to visit. I'm going back to spend time with my family. But then I'm okay to go back, which is such a kind of just peaceful feeling to just finally find that place where you're not kind of sad to go back to. It's like, it's fine. I need to go. If I need to go tomorrow, I'll go tomorrow and it's fine. And it's, I've just spent so much time trying to find that place that gives me a bit of both, because for me, Spain was always kind of the place that gave me kind of that emotional fulfillment, but London gave me that intellectual fulfillment, right? Because Gran Canaria is very chill. It's a very chill lifestyle. Yes, there are some career opportunities, but what I do and what I studied and what I work in doesn't exist there. When people ask me what I do, they're like, "What? That exists? You take care of employees? Is that a thing?" So what I did doesn't exist there, right? So there were no opportunities for me to stay on. But now that I found a place like Australia, like Sydney, it's a bit of both. I've got the lifestyle of Gran Canaria and I've got the career opportunities of London. So it's a middle ground that I was looking for so long, but I had no idea that I could look that far,
Yeah. So we'll get on to your journey from Gran Canaria to London to Australia. But actually, it would be great to start with an introduction, maybe, for those who don't know who you are.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Soni, Sindhi, Spanish, lived in Gran Canaria, London, Australia, work in consulting, kind of do dances for weddings as a hobby, as a side hustle, and just recently published a book. So a bit of everything. I do just a little bit of what I'm interested in, and then I just hopefully make it happen.
Have you always been a kind of multi-hyphenate creative, or is that something that you discovered with time as you got older?
To be honest, I think I've always been a creative at heart since I was very young, from kind of making handmade presents for my friends. Because why would you buy something when you can make it, right? I've always danced. I've danced since I was like 2 years old or 3 years old. So I think that creative part of my brain has always been there. But then I guess the more corporate side of my brain has kind of grown as I've become an adult, because unfortunately with kind of creative elements, it's really hard to kind of be able to sustain a living. It's very, very hard. So I try to do both, but I'm also very impatient. So I like doing everything. And that's kind of probably how I keep my mind busy, like doing bits of things that I enjoy, and trying to do it all together. It does lead to just being more stressed all the time, but it's okay. I'm enjoying the process. So I try to do a bit of everything, really.
Some of the themes that you cover in your book, which I have here, Your Mind Matters, they surround this idea of conforming, right? Societal expectations, narratives that are put on us from when we're kids. To me, it's quite interesting that you say that you were always this kind of like quirky, like creative kid. And you're also known in Las Palmas to be like the resident kind of Bollywood choreographer. And so it's very interesting that like you still thought you were conforming when actually you probably were still showing signs as a kid of being very unique and kind of expressing that in your own little ways. I don't know if you feel this way, but I know that I felt like I had, given up part of what I enjoyed, or like part of my dreams, to kind of have this career that was obviously amazing and gave me so much, but it wasn't exercising all the parts of my brain that I wanted to. Did you ever feel like you were restricted maybe in the day job, or that you were being held back from fully expressing your creative potential?
No, and the reason why I say no is because after uni, I went to uni in Nottingham, and then I remember being like, I'm done. I'm done with living in the UK. I'm just gonna go back home because I feel like that's where my place is. I want to be close to my parents. I want to be back home, and I just want to try out this dance thing. I want to be able to see if I can make a living out of dancing, and I can make a living out of teaching dances and choreographies and stuff. So I went back to Gran Canaria, and there was a kind of gap in the market where there was no Indian dancing, and I could kind of do a bit of semi-classical and do a bit of Bollywood. So I was like, it's perfect. And I actually started my own kind of dance academy there. And it was great because it was 100% creative. But then what I realized very quickly, and I did it for 8 months, what I realized very quickly was that I don't know how I feel about adding pressure to a hobby that I like so much. The pressure of having to make money off it, the pressure of having to make sure that I've got clients every month, that they're kind of willing to come and continue, and making sure it's different and creative. And I have to do a class on Monday and it's Sunday evening and I don't feel creative, I've not choreographed anything. And it's that pressure that I have to do it, which kind of made me realize that I don't know if I enjoy this for a full-time thing. But what I do enjoy now, it's kind of the dancing part of me kind of is a little bit more on the side. It's dances for weddings. So it's like a project every time, right? Like when there is a wedding, they come to me, they're like, hey, can you help? Of course I can help if I've got time, if I've got the energy, if I've got the capacity, and then that wedding's done and then I can go back. So it's in my life enough to kind of keep that creativity flowing, but it's not overpowering kind of my entire thing, because I quite enjoy what I work in. I quite enjoy what I studied, and I did a kind of occupational psychology, and I've always really enjoyed that. But I think kind of going back home after I went to uni reinforced two things. One, that I don't think I want to be in Spain, and I don't think that's where I want to kind of be or kind of spend my young adult life. But also that dancing is great while I really enjoy it. I don't want it to be a full-time thing. So then I was able to come back with that realization of, you know what, that's kind of how I want to do things. And to be honest, I've been very, very lucky that I've got parents who just let me do my thing, you know? Yes, of course, there is this pressure that I think a lot of the times I just put on myself because I am making a perception of what I think is the right thing based on how I've been brought up, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this person will say X if I do Y, but actually they might not even care. And I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I realize that just people don't care. And if they do, it's kind of their problem.
It's a projection.
Not your problem. Exactly. And it's projection of how I feel about myself. Like the amount of times where I've come to a conclusion and people around me are like, but how did you come to that conclusion? And it's literally a reflection of how I feel about myself. And it's just so difficult to pick up. But when you realize, it's like complete life-changing, because then you can fix that behavior that's within you to not kind of interpret things in a negative way.
Yeah.
So it's just so interesting.
And not fall back into old patterns of thinking, because they can be very restrictive, right? They can keep us in our boxes. I find it incredibly inspiring, by the way, that you've been through this journey and that you've actually spoken about it openly, because like we were also saying earlier, we come from a community that doesn't talk about what they're going through. So for you, was there a point actually where you can remember concretely, this is the point where I decided that I needed to make a change and start to work on, all of those shadows, let's say, that I was experiencing in my mind? Or do you think it was quite a gradual process?
So for me, the turning point was COVID. And it was COVID because when you live in the UK and you work in the UK, life is quick. You're always doing something. You're always hustling. You're always going from A to B. You've got your calendar that's packed with stuff that you meet, people that you're meeting, stuff that you're doing. You just go, 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 go all the time, right? So COVID, and I didn't go back home for the first lockdown. I did for the second one, but for the first one, I stayed here. And at the time, I was in a flat on my own, so I spent lockdown on my own, right? And the more on my own I spent, the more uncomfortable I was, because I was like crying all the time. I just didn't understand why. And there was always like my mind was this thing that I hated. There was no connect between my mind and my brain, my mind and my body, sorry. And it was just a constant battle of trying to tell my mind to be quiet. Like all of these negative things that were coming up again and again. And I just didn't feel comfortable in my own skin at all. And obviously, like, I never spoke about emotions when I was younger. That was not a thing that I ever did. It was very much you need to be grateful for what you have. And I'm super grateful for what I have, right? Like, I'm very lucky to have a family that loves me, a kind of roof over my head, a career, all of this stuff that a lot of people don't have. So I'm really grateful for that. But I think that kind of lens of gratitude sometimes overpowers the kind of negative emotions a little bit. And it's like, oh, I feel this way, but it's fine because I've got all of these other things.
Yeah, or like think about people who don't even have what you've got.
Exactly, right? So I think when I spent all of that time on my own, I was just like overwhelmed by this sense of emotion that I just didn't know what to do with. I was like, I just don't understand why I'm crying. I just don't understand why I can't get out of bed. I just don't get it. Like, why? Why am I feeling this way? I should be grateful that at least I can like spend my times on the phone with my friends playing quizzes and cooking and all of that stuff, right? So that's when I actually chatted to one of my friends, and I remember being out for dinner and I just broke down. And then between her and my brother, they were like, why don't you kind of go and just talk to someone? And that's where kind of my whole journey with therapy started. And it's been 5 years now? So it's been a very long time that I've been going to the same therapist. And to be honest, it was completely life-changing for me. It took me a while to get there, to kind of get myself to actually say, okay, I actually need help. But getting help, it gave me a sense of freedom that, okay, I'm doing something about it rather than just feeling this way. And then once I found that therapist, it was life-changing. Like just having that space once a week where there's just someone who doesn't know you at all. There's no judgment. There's just a curiosity of why you feel certain ways and just digs and digs and digs. And it's that safe space for me was absolutely life-changing because it's that 1 hour a week where it's all about me and it's all about my emotion and it's not about anything like how it impacts someone else, how it will make someone else feel. It's all about how it makes me feel. And I was never the person to put myself first ever. I'm a very agreeable person. I'm a very kind of, I will always say yes. I'm very rarely say no. I'm always doing stuff for other people. I need to be a good daughter. I need to be a good sister. I need to be a good friend. But it's never I need to be good for myself. That's never been a thing that I've thought about, right? So I think therapy kind of really centered it for me, where it's like, you can be a good daughter and a good sister and a good friend, but you can also be good to yourself. It doesn't need to come at the expense of the other thing.
Yeah.
And I think for me, therapy, absolutely life-changing.
So speaking about the topic of therapy, was there anything that surprised you when you started your therapy journey that you were like, oh, I didn't actually expect it to be like this? Or I mean, I can start. I could tell you mine. I have been doing therapy for, I think, since COVID as well, like just, yeah, pretty much middle of lockdowns. And I was quite surprised by how messy it was. I was surprised by how much it hurt. And I just left sessions feeling a bit like an open wound had just started. And, you know, I had to just sit down with myself and be like, oh, how do I feel? Why do I feel like I've spent so much money on this session? Like, why am I not feeling good?
Yeah.
What was it like for you?
Very similar. I think for me, it was just a complete roller coaster. Sometimes it was fine. Sometimes it was horrible. Sometimes it was necessary. But I think for you to be able to be your whole self, you need to peel all of the layers. And some layers are just going to be so deeply ingrained in you and so hidden away that it's just going to take a while for you to feel that kind of piece of the peel. And then once you kind of peel that off, it just feels so just exhilarating or just like freeing in a sense. But it was exactly as yours. It was very just very up and down. I actually stopped therapy because I was like, I'm done. I'm recovered. I feel great. I'm going to stop. I don't need anyone anymore. And then after a few months, I started again because I was like, yeah, no, I definitely need to go back because this is worse than the first time. So for me, and I remember when I decided to go back, I felt like such a failure. Like, oh, I've gone to therapy to do all of this work. I felt fine, and now I actually feel a lot worse. So I need to go back. And I remember it took me such a long time to go back to my therapist because I stuck with the same one. And it just felt like I was going back and I just failed a little bit in terms of trying to be okay. But actually it was the best thing that I did because at that point when I went back, I think it's been probably the lowest I've ever felt in terms of just hope for anything. So it was quite good to have that person to help you come out of that little black hole that I was in, right? Where I just couldn't see the light. And it was good to have someone to, well, I guess it was good that I realized that I needed someone again because I knew how it was, but also to have someone to just be there and just make sense of your emotions. Because I don't know how you feel, but at least in the community that I grew up, and I think this is a very South Asian community thing as well, where talking about your emotions is not common. So when you talk about your emotions, well, when emotions come up, you just don't know how to deal with them. And I didn't know how to deal with them. I didn't know how to tag them or name them. And it just overwhelmed me. So all I ended up doing was crying because I had no idea what to do with all like this fluctuation, like this sudden increase of emotion. I just didn't know how to handle it. So it just all came out crying. But then with therapy, I've learned to be able to manage those emotions. Like I don't think therapy fixes you. I don't think anyone needs fixing. I think it just helps you manage those ups and downs that life brings you. And now tomorrow, if I kind of, hopefully I don't, but if I face the downs that I faced in the past year, hopefully I'll have all of the tools that I've learned in the last year to be able to handle it in a way on my own. You know? So I just think it just gives you the tools to be able to thrive in life. But it's a journey. Whenever people kind of tell me that they're going to start therapy, one of the first things I kind of tell them is like, I'm really proud of you for being able to kind of say that you need therapy. I think everyone in this world needs therapy. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be flowers. It's not going to be an upward journey. It's going to be your peaks and troughs. But eventually it'll be kind of like a peaks and troughs but going upwards. Like you'll slowly be making progress, but it'll just feel chaotic. Just be patient and just go with it. That's all you need. It's like you just need belief that things will fall into place eventually. And when they do, I don't know how long you've been in therapy. Well, you've been in therapy for a few years now, but the sense of peace that I feel now is miles away from how I used to feel before. And it's just, completely changed my life.
Yeah, I actually took a small break recently from it because my therapist was out of work for a little while. I think she was just maybe on a sabbatical or something. And I didn't feel like I was in a situation where I would need like a replacement therapist for that period of time. It was like 3-4 months. And I was like, oh, I'll be fine. I probably don't even need it. And very similarly to you, those 3 to 4 months, I mean, a lot of change has happened in my life recently. So I can't pinpoint what it was. But that anchor that therapy gave me was not there, right, anymore. Do you think that people can develop a dependency on therapy? Because I was feeling like, oh, maybe I need this like for the rest of my life. Otherwise, I'm going to project on people in my life, which I felt myself doing irrationally over the last 3-4 months. And is that okay to have that dependency?
I guess a question back to you. Why do you feel that projecting on people is a bad thing? Like, why do you feel kind of sharing your emotions with your friends, with your close circle is a bad thing?
So it all comes down to tone, right? In the way that you treat them when you're telling them things, because it's one thing sharing how you're feeling. And like, I think quite a bit similarly to you, I would say I'm quite an open book at the moment in my life. And I don't think there are really any topics that are like off limits from close friends that I wouldn't want to discuss and things like that. But I think when it comes to projection, it's more about like uncontrolled energy that comes out, right? Because you've not channeled that. And because we're so used to channeling that in sessions, and really just, unfiltered, raw, like sharing, which also, by the way, is such an amazing feeling when you do that for the first time. Like you share something that you felt like you could never say loud, and it's just been going on in your head, and suddenly you verbalized it, and you're like, whoa.
And it's not that bad.
It's really not. You could probably say the worst thing in the world, and I think your therapist would just look at you like, okay, let's work through this.
Yeah, exactly.
No
And also,
judgment.
like, nothing's happened. You've said it out loud, but like nothing's happened. It's not that bad. And I think when you break it down, it's not as big as it was in your head. Like in your head, everything's 10 times bigger and 10 times worse. And you're always going to think negative case scenario, like worst case scenario. But then when it's out there in the world, it's not that bad. And it's something that you can manage and something that you can handle. But with going back to your kind of dependency on therapy and whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. But at least for me, I was very aware that for the way that I see therapy is not I have an issue that I need to sort out now. Before, yes, for sure, I needed to understand my emotions. I needed guidance and help on how do I open this door that I've locked for so many years with all of these emotions that I've ignored for so many years because I just don't know how to fix it. I just don't know how to handle it, and I'm too scared, so I'm going to leave it locked because I don't know who to talk about those emotions with. And I've always been a happy person. I've always been the kind of person who's just chippy and cheery. So like I don't know if people would understand it, and I don't want it to kind of be a burden on someone else. So it's easier to just lock it away and forget it and think that it'll just never come up. And loads of people live like that and they're happy and it's fine. But at the time where those doors open, I was like, okay, I can't close this. The force is way too big for me to close it. So I can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
But I think once she kind of helped me manage my emotions and understand myself a little bit more and be able to kind of just, I guess, talk to myself with care rather than with negativity or with harshness, and just be okay with sitting with my feelings and be comfortable with sitting with my feelings and just knowing who I am a little bit more.
Yeah.
I feel like that dependency that I had on her in terms of I need you to help me manage my emotions, she's given me the tools to be able to manage my own emotions. So now for me, it's that 1 hour a week. Well, actually, I do it every 2 weeks now. But I haven't seen her for a month and it's been okay. But now when I see her every 2 weeks, it's like that 1 hour every 2 weeks to just sit down and reflect. It's my self-reflection moment because life just is so quick. There's so much happening that you just don't get enough time to sit and talk about yourself, or sit and think. So that's my time to just think about what I'm doing, think about if I'm going the right direction. And it can be anything. The amount of times where I've just sat there and I'm like, yeah, I have nothing to talk about. And then after 5 minutes,
it all comes out.
Once you like 5 minutes left, I'm like, oh, already? It's just crazy, right? But I think it's just the way that I think of therapy now is different because I've done all of this work to help myself, help myself essentially.
Yeah. In your book, you talk about this concept. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but B rules or bullshit rules.
Yeah. I love that.
I really loved it too because I have a lot of B rules that are just somehow sitting in the back of my head and I'm just letting them take the steering, of my life. Have you managed to tackle them fully, or do you still think they come back to you in certain moments?
All the time. They come back to me all the time. And I don't think it's going to stop. I think it's going to be something that will always come back. But I think what's different is that I'm able to kind of pinpoint when it does come back and I'm able to manage it. So that's what it is, right? Like, I don't think your core beliefs or your core rules that you've set yourself will ever 100% go away. Like, yeah, it's over 30 years in the making for me. So it's really hard to just be like, okay, that's it. I figured it out. You can leave my life and that's it. You're never going to come back. They are going to come back, especially when you're like under a lot of strain or anything. They're going to definitely come back. But I think it's just being able to be aware that it's coming back. And if anything, something that has shifted since I started therapy or for like the last 3 or 4 years has been that I'm a lot more self-aware. I'm a lot more aware of understanding how I'm feeling, but why I'm feeling it, and what is the root cause of that feeling. And if I can't find it, I'll sit down, I'll sit with those feelings, and I'll try to figure out why does it give me anxiety? I need to understand what's happening, right?
Yeah.
So they definitely come back, and I don't think it'll ever go away. I'm not expecting it to go away either.
What's an example of a rule that you have that keeps coming back?
Oh, the fact that I should be married with kids. It's definitely one that comes back all the time. And I think it's interesting, right? Because I write about it in my book as well, where it's the kind of, you have to follow this set path where you go to uni, you get a degree, you get a job, you get a partner, you get married, you have babies, you send them to school, you take care of them. Like, that's the traditional kind of pathway that's been set by someone many, 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 many years ago, right? And that's what everyone follows. Most people kind of want to follow. And that's something that I've always grown up to want to follow. When I was younger, I used to say that I'm going to be married by 23. I'm going to be engaged by 23. I'm going to be married by 24. I'm going to have kids by 25. I'm 32. It comes back all the time. And I think especially when I go to weddings or my friends have kids, it's like, whew, okay, it's great. Really happy for them, obviously, because it's great to see other people flourish too. But I think something that shifted for me is that is not the only path that one should follow. There's a million different routes that someone can take, and I happen to be on a different route than someone else. It doesn't make their route more important than mine. It doesn't make my route more important than theirs. It's just different. And if every life was the same, the world would be really boring. Conversations would be really boring because it'll be about the same thing every time, right? So I think for me, the biggest shift in that is I stopped giving more importance to being married. I used to have this little hierarchy in my brain that was like, imagine there's a pyramid and being single was at the bottom. Having a relationship was like a bit higher up, then married, then kids. And that was a hierarchy, and the hierarchy of how someone else treated you like an adult. So the further up in the hierarchy, the more adult you are to the world and to other people. When I realized that, for me, that was one of the aha moments for my kind of rule, where it's like, actually, I am not at the top of the pyramid, but I have done other really cool things. I've moved to the other side of the world on my own. I moved when I was 18. I moved away from my home when I was 18. I've got a great career. I've got a book. So it's like other things that make me an adult that isn't necessarily having kids or being married. And it's like, I think once I kind of was able to break that barrier, the pressure just came off, completely came off. And it's like, it's so much better to be happy than to be married, but not being ready to be married. And I don't think I would be ready right now. I'm trying to figure out who I am as a person. And it's okay. Like, there's so much, like, whenever people are asking, oh, when are you going to get married? I'm like, what's the rush? There's so much life to live. There's so much more time to go. Why do I want to get married now? Like, it's fine. Like, it'll happen. Of course I want to get married eventually, but it's okay. It'll happen when it has to happen. And just living life without that pressure is good. And I'm not going to say I never feel the pressure. I always feel the pressure. That rule is a particular one that always comes back.
Yeah.
And I just need to manage it again and again. But it's a managing thing. That's what it is.
I mean, it's definitely a big one for me as well. And I think it struck me when you said, like, well, of course I want to get married. A lot of people actually don't want to
And
get
it's
married.
fine.
And they don't want to have kids, or they maybe want to get married but not have kids. And there's so many different like routes and scenarios you could go down. And what I've found actually entering my 30s to be the most interesting thing is that I think people fall into buckets, right? In your 30s, you've got like people who got married by a certain age and what society, particularly our Sindhi society, deems to be the right age, right? Which is probably like somewhere between 27 to 30. And then anywhere beyond that, you're like, okay, you're really pushing it now. And then there's the bucket of, okay, the people who are now having kids. And there's the bucket of people who are not sure yet if they want to get married or when they want to get married. And then there's the people who are single. And like, you just fall into those buckets. But actually, like, being in a particular bucket does not determine like your level of fulfillment or happiness, or whether you feel like you're on the right path for yourself.
Or what caliber of human you are. Doesn't make you a better or a worse human if you're married or not, you know?
Yeah.
Like, whatever makes someone happy. Like, at the end of the day, and this is how I think about everything. Like, as long as someone's happy, who cares? Like, yes, people will ask you, just have your response and that's it. Like, whenever people around me ask me, oh, but like, are you getting to know anyone? When are you getting married? How is everything going? And it's like, work's great. Thank you. Thank you for asking. But also, I'm okay right now. And I remember telling someone, I don't remember who it was, but it's like, I am finally in a place that I'm happy. I want to be in this space for a while. Like, I just feel content with what I have right now, with who I have in my life, with the friendships, the relationships, all of that I've had and that I'm having, that I just want to stay here for a bit. And it's okay for me to stay here. But also, I think it's okay for someone to not want to get married, to not want to have kids, to want to stay single forever. It's fine. Like, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, you're good.
In your book, you quite openly, quite vulnerably share that sometimes, you will look at your friends who are going through these kind of milestones and you're super happy for them because that's who you are as a person. But there is a niggling part in your brain that's like feeling a bit like, oh, am I behind? Or, am I missing something in my life? And that's probably like sounds like something you're working on. But I'd be really intrigued to know whether you've spoken to those friends now that you've kind of so vulnerably shared this emotion that is a very normal emotion a lot of people experience. Have you had those chats with the same people who are married with kids, and have they come to you being like, oh, I didn't know you were feeling this way? Like, give me a little bit of a snippet into that.
So yes, I have. And I feel like that didn't happen that long ago because I remember most of my friends are married with kids, right? So whenever we go out for dinner, or whenever we used to go out for dinner, the conversation was overpowered by marriage and kids. And it was great, right? It's anything about kids that you want to know, I probably know because of the amount of conversations that I've had about kids. And I love it. It's so interesting. And it's like, yeah, it's such an interesting concept and such an interesting life that I'm like, I just need to know more. But it gets to a space where you're like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't feel like I can be involved in these conversations because I don't understand the emotion that mothers go, because I'm not a mother. So I don't understand the challenges. I can empathize, but I don't understand the challenges. So, but when you're meeting up with people for like 2 or 3 hours and it's all about wedding and kids, I used to end up feeling exhausted by the end of it because I used to spend all of my energy trying to come across like I was okay. But actually inside of me, I was crippling because I was really sad that I was just still single. And all I was thinking about was, why am I not with someone? Why am I not married? What is wrong with me? Why is it taking me so long? And it's like all of these emotions that I was trying to like just not show to people because it's being really, really vulnerable and you don't want to, like cut the vibe or like kill the vibe or anything. So I used to spend a lot of my energy just trying to appear like I'm okay.
Suppress that feeling.
Exactly. And then I used to just feel so exhausted at the end of it until one day when I was, after chatting to my therapist about it for a while, it's just kind of voice what you need. And your friends will actually like take it on and they'll create an environment or a space where you feel included as well. And I feel the biggest change for me happened when I stopped being embarrassed. I was embarrassed of being single. I was embarrassed of the fact that I hadn't found yet someone because it was all about me and about what is wrong with me, right? But then when I kind of realized that actually nothing's wrong with me, like I am very particular. I need time to get to know someone. And I'm sure everyone's kind of spent enough time, the time that they need to then get to the next stage. But I think when that embarrassment kind of went away, it was a lot more just freeing to be able to say, hey guys, like, can we talk about something else? And then I remember very vividly, there was this dinner that we went out for. We just caught up after many, many months. And it was such a balanced conversation. It was great. Like, we spoke about weddings, we spoke about kids, we spoke about marriage, we spoke about single life, we spoke about, because 3 of us were single at the time, and we spoke about our dating lives. Who are we dating? What are the dating experiences? And everyone was just so excited and kind of everyone was so intrigued to hear about the world that they're not living. And it just felt so much more inclusive and so much more balanced. And it's one of those things my brother always tells me. He's like, Soni, I love hearing your dating experiences, because he's not had that. He's been with his girlfriend for many, many years. They're now married, have 2 babies. And it's like, it's just, for him, it's a completely different world. And I think when that embarrassment of being single and dating people or going out on dates and stuff just went away, it just I think it just brought everyone to the same level. Like, I am not less than you because I'm in a different stage of life, but we're just at the same level, just having completely different experiences. And let's share one another's experiences, because when you share more openly, and it goes back to, unfortunately, South Asian people don't share as much, don't share authenticity as much. When you kind of just share openly, actually, it's so interesting to see other people's reactions, or what are the challenges that other people are facing. Because what I'm doing then, or when I was many years ago, when I was like, oh, I really want to be married, I really want to have kids, I want to have children like now, I was comparing my perception of what it is to have kids. But actually, now that I see people with kids and they're so close to me, now I'm seeing the reality, and it's a challenge. It's difficult. There's a lot of things in your life that you have to give up to be able to make space for kids, right? It's not as easy as I thought it was in my head. So actually, yes, I want kids, but not right now. And I have always wanted to get kids, and I definitely want kids in the future. But I don't think I'm in that space where I can give up stuff that I want to do right now. But I know I will in the future, and it's okay.
That self-awareness is so key. And I think amazing that you're in that space where you're like, yeah, I know I want that, but maybe not right now, because I know what it takes. And, sometimes we also compare ourselves to an older generation that had a completely different experience. Like, I know that's kind of how it is for me. I would look at like kind of my uncles, aunts, my parents, and like how they lived, but they, come from a time where like arranged marriages were actually the norm in our community. And, getting married in your early 20s, never having met that person before, and all of that. So yeah, very different world now that we live in. And sometimes it's very hard to have like a set path that you can just kind of follow. It's almost like everyone's now just paving like a new version of that path for themselves, because we don't really have those like cookie cutter role model type things to look up to necessarily, because society has changed so fast within our generation.
Like, if you think about it this way, right? Like, before, the trajectory, the kind of best practice trajectory was, you go to school, when you're 18, 19, you start looking for someone, or your parents start looking for someone. You then get married when you're 21, and you like went to school, finished uni, maybe, who knows, depends. Then you got married, you had a baby. That was the trajectory for a woman, at least.
For a woman, yes.
For a woman now, it's you go to school, you go to uni, you find a job, you work there for a bit, then you look for someone, then you get married. So that kind of marriage timeline has gotten delayed a little bit. And I think on top of that now, there's so many different routes that you can take. There's so much choice out there.
Yeah.
That it's kind of confusing sometimes, uncomfortable for someone who's only known one path.
Yeah.
But also, I guess, liberating, because you don't have to follow that one path. And I guess I understand where people from kind of the generation of our parents come from, right? Because that's all they've known. I get it. I can empathize, which is why I don't get annoyed. Because I get it. That's all you've known. That's what best practice suggests. That's such a research way of saying it, but it's fine. And that's kind of, you don't know anything else, and it's fine. But at the end of the day, I think the key thing is that you're doing what's right for you, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the one living your life.
You're the one living your life. You're the one waking up in your shoes every day. It's so true. And at some point, those facades, they fall away, and they fall away for people at different ages and different times, but it happens for everybody.
Yes.
I remember my manager at work once told me this. She's just like someone I really look up to at work, and like super, put together, like went up the ranks really fast, got fast promotions, all of this. And she said, but Mitali, like I've come to realize in my 30s that like everyone who looks put together, at some point there's some crack that's showing, and it's just different for everyone, because that's what human life, or being human, is really. So I actually, in that same vein, want to talk about your move to Sydney, because actually part of the reason why I'm so excited and like intrigued by this conversation is because I feel like I am you.
Love it.
Maybe a year younger, you know, doing the like uni in London, like living in London, then kind of being like, do I like life here? But it's so cold. But I grew up in, you know, surrounded by the sun. And for you to actually get up and make a move across the world, I want to know why it was Australia and what actually was that moment where you're like, okay, I'm doing this. Because you in your book say that you had never done anything like that before.
Yeah, I mean, I did it in like a small scale where it
That
was
everyone
the UK.
did, right?
But
Yeah.
exactly. I remember when I moved to the UK when I was 18, everyone was shocked. It was like, oh my God, you moved here on your own when you're like 18? People who lived in the UK. And for me, it was so normal because everyone around us did it, right?
People around you
So
had
it's
done
like
it, yeah.
the standard thing. You go to school, you go to uni in the UK or in Madrid or anywhere, like anywhere in mainland Europe, but you never stayed in your hometown. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. The thing that made me move, I think, when I realized that the UK wasn't for me anymore and that Spain gave me half of what I wanted, which was the emotional fulfillment. The UK gave me the other half, which was intellectual fulfillment. And I couldn't be living a life where I'm going back and forth and I'm escaping from both places. And it just felt very chaotic. And it just felt like I was done. Like I think it was towards the end of 2023. Is it 2025? Yeah, 2023. When I was like, I'm done. Like, I need to get out of here. And I had been saying it for a very long time. But then I remember at work, I reconnected with someone. So the company that I work with acquired another company in Australia that was the same people that I had worked with 5 years ago. So it like felt a bit full circle. And I was like, oh, I'm going to chat to them, see how they're doing, see if there's anything. And I think it's quite nice that I met them 4 or 5 years ago and that we just connected then. And then we just knew we were there. And when I reached out to them and kind of welcomed them to the new business, to the kind of the new company that I work in, we just got chatting and I was like, what would it take for me to move there? Like, how is that a thing? Can we do that? And they were like, yeah, why not? We can figure it out. We can see what happens. And I remember for me, it was going to Bali. For me, Bali was life-changing. And when I saw that you were in Bali, I always get excited for everyone that goes to Bali. Because
Yeah, same
for
now.
me, it was like the moment that changed the way I think. And the reason why is because I went to Bali and I went to a retreat. And it was a retreat, a women's retreat. And I felt very imposter-y when I was there because I was like, these women are amazing. They've had actual issues and here I am just confused about what I want to do in my life. But I think it was good for me because it just took me away from all of the noise. And I just spent a whole week just exercising, eating really well, just thinking inwardly. That's about it. And just being taken care of. And that just gave me the space to be like, okay, what do I actually want to do? And I realized when I was there that I was just living a convenient life. London is very convenient. And it's convenient because you've got your friends that you've met at uni who are here. People who from home moved here. So you've got that kind of tight-knit kind of friendship circle and you've known them for a very long time. You know what to expect. I had been here for 12 years. So I knew the culture, I knew the lifestyle, I knew what people expect of me, the behaviors. It's just comfortable. It's close to home. I can get on a 4-hour flight and I'm home. So I could literally just be there whenever. So it's convenient, right? And I'm living for my parents. If my parents need me, I can get on a flight, go back home. If my brother has a kid, I can get a flight, go back home. I can be the good daughter. I could be the good sister. I could be the good friend. I could live this comfortable life. But I feel like I was just done with comfort and I just needed a change. And the way that Australia came up is one of the one of the directors of the execs in the company, he kind of overlooks employee experience, which is what I do, but globally.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to him and being like, I'm done. I need to really, I need a change. I really want to stay in the company, but I just need to get out of London. Like I'm so done. I just need something new. And we spoke about it and there were a few options on the table. And I was like, okay. And then once I had those options and he was like, this was right before Bali. And I went to Bali and I also thought about, okay, what is it that I want? And I think Bali is great because it's full of Australians. So it kind of gave me the sneak peek of just speaking to people who are from Australia, and just understanding the lifestyle, because I had never been. Never heard of it. It kind of never was a thing in my head, or it was like 6 years ago and then I forgot about it. So it was good to kind of just understand the lifestyle there. And the more people spoke about it, the more I was like, this is giving me the vibe of Gran Canaria and London put together. Like, it's literally the sun, the beach, the chilled, the quality of life, the active lifestyle of Gran Canaria, and the career of London. And the more I thought about it, and kind of when I got past the fear of doing this at the age of 31 at the time, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to give it a go. And I think I'm lucky enough that I can fall back on Gran Canaria. I can fall back on my parents if something goes wrong, right? I'm very lucky to be able to do that. So I was thinking, what's the worst thing that can happen? I go, I hate it, and I come back. It's fine. I'm okay with that. So I was like, it literally happened in Jan where I decided to go. And in May I was there. Like, it was very quick.
Yeah.
It was very, very quick.
Do you feel like you made the right decision?
Yes, 100%. And it's interesting, right? Because I've come back to this side of the world after a year. And I was actually very scared. I was like, oh, I wonder how, well, not scared. I was very curious. I was like, how will I feel? Will I feel like, will I miss Sydney?
Like nostalgic?
Will I not? Exactly.
Yeah.
Will I miss it? Will I not? Will I kind of want to stay and not go back? But it's, as I said at the beginning, it's the feeling of coming back is so different compared to the feeling of going back home after when I was here.
Yeah.
It's gone from an escape to, I'm going to visit my family. I'm going to spend time with my friends. I'm going to try and see as many people as I can. But eventually, I'm going to go back.
That's home now.
I don't know if it feels 100% home. I feel like it's too soon to say. But it's a place that gives me energy, right? And I think for me, London was great. I'm never going to say a bad thing about London, apart from the weather. But it's made me who I am, right? It's kind of made me grow up. It's taught me so many things. I've met so many amazing people. I've had so many amazing memories, and it's where I spent kind of nearly most of my life now, right? But I think for me, it was an end of a chapter.
Yeah.
And I just needed to move on. And I feel like the thing that reinforces the fact that Sydney was the right move is that I haven't missed the UK since I'm there.
That's big.
That is big. Because I thought it's comfortable, and I haven't missed it. And it's such a scary feeling to kind of just pack up and go. Especially for me, it was at the age of 31 when I did it. It was such a, is it too late? Am I going to making friends at the age of 30 is so hard. And kind of, let alone moving countries. And a lot of people do it with a partner. I did it on my own. But I think just going and kind of just having that, what's the worst thing that can happen? I come back, or I'll just go, I'll give it my all, and we'll see what happens. I think you can't make such a big move with a timeline, but also expectations. I think the biggest thing for me was that I had zero expectations. No, I was like, we'll just see what happens, and we'll take one day at a time. And I think because I did that, I was a lot more open-minded to try out new things and to experience just different things that I hadn't experienced elsewhere. As soon as I got there, the next week or 2 or 3 days after I landed, I was still really jet lagged. I went to one of these friend making events, and I met loads of people there, and I made some really good friends that I'm still friends with a year later, and we've traveled all over Australia together. And I think since then I've also made loads of different groups of friends. And I also think it's interesting because I was thinking about the difference of making friends when you're younger versus when you're a bit older. And when you're a bit older, the friendships that you make, you connect very differently. It's more of a deeper connection than when you're younger. Because when you're younger, your friendships that you make is for company, because you're on your own and you want to be around people and you want to experience things. But when you're older, you're comfortable with yourself and you're comfortable with being on your own. Therefore, the connections that you make is more based on your values and based on how you think and based on your ambitions. So all of my friends there were very similar. And that's just great. it's just really good. And we're all like in the same stage of life, similar stages of lives. So I've been lucky enough to have made friends. But I think that is because I went super open-minded, and I think I was just ready. I think if I went to Australia 5 years ago, it probably wouldn't have been the same experience. But because I wasn't ready I hadn't healed emotionally, and gone through all of those emotions and just being more authentically myself, to be able to make the type of friends I've made now.
Yeah. It's like what you're saying, right? Doing things for intrinsic versus extrinsic reasons. Like when we're younger, we do things because, we don't know better, or because that's what gives us comfort in that moment, and like going out loads and having loads of fun. And now we're like, actually, I want to hang out with people that make me feel good and fill my cup and
give you energy,
good vibes. Yeah, good energy. So true. It's interesting that a lot of these experiences, as you speak to more people, you realize you're not really alone in how you're feeling. It's actually we're just a data point at the end of, like a lot of people are going through this whole thing. So it's really nice to hear that you've had such a positive experience from probably making one of the scariest moves, right, of your life. So you've written this book, Your Mind Matters. What is something that you want people to take away from this book when they read it?
2 things, I guess. One of them is that you're not alone, and there's hope. And the second one is that it's okay to talk about these things. Like when I started writing it, the intention was never to publish it. The intention was, I'm going to write my journey so I can look back in a few years and kind of just go through it again, or just kind of see where I've come, like how much I've progressed. That was the intention. But then the more I kind of went through it and was writing more of it, the more I was like, I just want someone to read this book and feel heard, but also feel that they're not alone. But it's that sense of hope that I want to give someone. Like I was in a really, like the way that I describe that time is I felt like I was in the bottom of a well and I just couldn't see the light. And there were people up trying to pull me up, but I just didn't have the energy. And there were loads of different things that helped me get out, like therapy, tablets, antidepressant tablets that I had to take, talking to people about it. And then very slowly I was able to get up and make my way out. But I had to do it on my own, right? And that's what I want this book to represent, kind of be that additional thing that's on top of the well to kind of help you get out. I just want someone to just if they take one little thing from it, it's going to make the whole reason why I wrote the book a success. Because I don't want to be famous from it. I don't want to make a big song and dance about it. But I just want it to reach to people who need it, who want to kind of listen to a different perspective, but also as a conversation starter, right? Because one of the things that I've heard the most from people who've read it is I've gone through such a similar journey. I've gone through we're the same people, we're the same person. Or, there were so many things that I just felt that really resonated with me. And it's great. I love it. But also it kind of makes me a little bit sad because everyone feels the same emotions, but nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
And this book, what it's doing and what I'm seeing that it's doing, it's getting people to be able to talk about these emotions and be able to talk about their journeys with therapy. The amount of people I've now learned that have gone to therapy because we've only spoken about it as a result of the book. And it's where I'd love the South Asian community to go to just be able to just speak openly about where they're at and just be more authentic. You can be happy and great, but you can also not be great, and it's okay. You don't have to put this kind of facade that everything's great. Not everything's great all the time, and it doesn't make you less of a good person or less successful if you're vulnerable. It's actually a sign of massive success that you've been able to understand what you need and do something about it. There's a lot of people who just sit with the emotion and think that's normal and that's it. But it's a lot more, it shows a bigger sign of strength that you're doing something about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I want this book to represent. It's like, it's okay to do something about it and don't feel ashamed. There's no need to feel ashamed. It's like, just nobody cares. Just as long as you're happy, you're good.
Nobody cares. Thank you so much, Soni, for coming on the show and for
Thank you
sharing
for
so
having me.
openly your journey and your story, and for sharing this book with us, which I hope tweaks people's perceptions of what's possible for them, because you're a living example of, the fact that there's light at the end of the tunnel, even if you can't see it, or at the top of the well, like you said.
One of them.
A question that I leave all my guests with, which I'll ask you as well, is what do you have strong game in?
I think just giving stuff a go. I've always been someone who just gives it a go. What's the worst thing that can happen? You don't like it and you go back to where you were? It's fine. But I think just taking that step to try and change something is the scariest but most fulfilling thing that you're ever going to do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, me again. Just wanted to say thank you so much for listening to this episode of Brown Game Strong. I hope you enjoyed it and got something useful out of it. If you'd like to stick around, then please hit subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. And if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can click follow to get updated on all of the latest episodes. It helps me immensely in continuing to bring you more exciting guests and interesting stories so that we can continue to learn about all the awesome work that's happening in our community. Thank you for your support. It never goes unnoticed, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.